So we are none of the three bodies. We are talking about an understanding that we are not the physical body, we are not the subtle body, and we are not the causal body. So if you take the causal body casually, nothing is going to happen. Even if we claim that we have understood, it has to be lived from moment to moment. That is why mindfulness or meditation sometimes is also known as living from moment to moment. Nothing is going to. No, I understand. What, why you are repeating again? You have been talking about three bodies for so many weeks. Your mind may say, I have understood. So that I understood is this subtle body, is the ego. You are not living in it. So it is finished. We can see this in a different way. What is the goal of life? Suffering, to bring an end to the suffering. What is suffering? Suffering is stress, pain, problems caused by insecurity, unhappiness, dissatisfaction. Where they live in the mind, they are not living in the world outside. And Eastern wisdom says it is due to ignorance. And what is ignorance? Ignorance is causal body that results in suffering daily. And that results into fear, anxiety, duality, jealousy, hatred, relationship challenges. Now we have understood why you are repeating again. Now I'm repeating, just for myself, not for you. So listen to it, this is what happens to our problem in our daily life. And I would say it has 1 million dimension. This causal body takes over us in a very polite way. Now, I'm so humble, and why you are so crazy? That is the sign of hypocrisy. I can give you 1 million examples. Now, I have done so much for you. Why you are repeating it again? Thank you very much. Coming from the causal body. So second step is to remove that ignorance, and the ignorance is removed when we purify the mind and allow the intellect to work on the mind. So we minimize the if, when you purify that mind, the intellect takes over the mind. Now this mind is not inviting the impressions from the causal body. It does not manifest into the subtle. Do you remember? Yes, I remember. So what is we are doing? It is our discovery of the real self. The moment we are in touch with the real self, which is always present, you bring an end to the suffering, this causal body goes away, and we experience inner peace, happiness, love, and wisdom. So we are working what we are not. So keep in your mind, I will not talk about the memory is a great subject in Eastern wisdom. So I'm not the physical body and subtle body and causal body. That is the three factors. Second factor is that we are not the five sheaths. Now we have to understand why. They are connected to the three bodies. You can explain it through the bodies, but here in five sheaths, we are working, we are trying to understand the effect of these three bodies uh, over the real self. That is why we say it is a sheath, it is a covering, it is a veil. So that is where we have to we have to understand it clearly. The five covering five sheets. We have been living with a very small and futile stuffs in our daily living. You are living with honey, and honey said you something, you get upset. Such a small, futile thing. Now, I told you to, no, I wanted a cup of tea, but you made a cup of coffee. Unnecessary. Coming from Causal. The small things makes me angry, agitated, jealous. We think and speak and act with a small thought, futile, unuseless thoughts, speech and action, which is very important for me. I paid you, and then I answered you that you are real self. Finished. But you paid me, so I gave you this answer. You are real self. Done. We disturb our relationship with the small stuff in the mind. It comes from the five sheath, and that is what we are trying to understand. So, what happens? The first thing in life, now you see the impact and the effect. How in one or the other issues we remain crazy, lazy, obsessed. We try to be clever. We are not able to leave these small stuffs in daily living. And then you get upset. Then you have a blame, complaint. Now, why I'm talking about, let us talk directly to the think of this that lives in our behavior and attitude and the mind, and that goes a long way. And that is why we are not able to awaken ourselves. Even, you see, this is a white shirt, a small black spot makes the entire shirt dirty. That is the nature of the mind. Our motivation, our intention, if it is coming from the causal body, creates these small stuffs. Then, then you see nothing is happening. Now, I'm not talking of practical experiences. It just happened. I responded to the email. Otherwise, people will. So, last time we understand the real miser is one who lacks discernment. Do you remember? Yes, I remember. And if you remember, then that discernment pulls you, inspires you, motivates you to follow the path of the Shreyas. And the moment you follow the path of the Shreyas, you build such an unbroken relationship with the teacher. It took me almost 5 to 7 years to understand this. Again, you are talking of the same stuff. I have understood. Let us start talking about the five sheets. Yes. I am here with you, but you don't see me. So this is what the covering is. This is what the sheet is. You know I'm here, but still I'm covered by thought, by speech, by action. So we are going to talk about the five sheaths. It is hidden. Real self is hidden behind. Can I say hidden behind? Now understand, because there is no other language to understand it. Can I say the space is hidden behind my home? But I never talk about the space. I always talk about that here is my house in Gilbert, here is your house in Phoenix, and here is your house in home. We forget the space. Is a space in the home or is home in the space? That is what the covering is. That is why I told you, I paid you. I told you, real self. Here is the sun. We have a yellow color, red color, brown color, orange paper. And here I see the color is, take an example, the color is blue here. But sun is not blue. So sun is present in the blue color. That is the five sheath. So once you understand this principle, then we come directly to the five sheath. We say that, so these five sheaths we have to understand in terms of functioning and the symptoms. And the moment that understanding is clear in the intellect, we have a knowledge and we find the real self. But if you don't follow these principles, then the real self is too far. We can talk intellectually that yes, there is a real self, it's a pure consciousness. Yes, we are living into it, but still the causal body is continuously creating a veil, and we don't see that result of permanent peace and happiness, love, and wisdom. There is a proverb in India which says, translate, if I translate, the monkey does not know the taste of a ginger. Why? He never eats ginger. So if I don't eat these five sheaths, I will never understand. No, I know. You have already witnessed in a couple of the sessions, some people started asking, there is a neuroplasticity, there is a Terry asked a beautiful question, and I said, neuron, neurotransmitter, both are protein. What do you want to find out? What exactly you want to know? We have to eat this. If we do not know the five sheaths, we will never come to that point. In terms of the functioning and the symptoms, I'm laying a foundation. So the outermost sheath is physical body. Second sheath is the energy sheath, energy covering. Third sheath is the mental. Fourth is the intellect. And the fifth is the pleasure. Simple meaning. They are known as Panch Kosha. Annamaya Kosha is known as the food sheath. Food is covering the real self. We will understand that. Remember. Second is energy sheath or energy veil or energy covering. It's made up of the energy. Third is the mental sheath. So it's a different from the mind. That is what we need to understand. And the intellect sheath is different from the intellect. And the pleasure sheath, it is different from the happiness. No, you're talking of so much, My hand with its skin, flesh, muscles, bones, blood, enzymes, all protein belongs to the first sheath. Clear? So now when I raise my hand, I need an energy. So there is an energy sheath. But energy is not consciousness, so there must be some agent who desires to raise the hand. It is mental sheath. Oh, it is mental sheath. See that? Who decided? Intellect. Oh, when raising the hand, did I enjoy? Did I enjoy? Yes, it is the pleasure sheath. All the five sheath is always present, and the real self is behind it. We have to live into that state of awareness. Simple example. And these five sheath is constantly at work. Where there is a movement, where there is a desire, where there is a decision, where there is a change, these five sheets are always working. I'm talking, five sheet is working. You see, I'm talking, check. Lips, larynx, voice box. Thought is also an energy. If there is no energy, I cannot speak. But without the desire to speak, I cannot speak. But without making a decision, I cannot speak. So I enjoy speaking because I don't allow you to speak. So I'm enjoying speaking. So when we are aware of these five sheets all the time, and we see them, it is constantly changing. And I cannot be the change. Somewhere, I am using a language which is not true, but still I have to use. Somewhere deep inside, I know, oh, here it is. This is what you are talking about, real self. Give me any example in your daily activities. All these five sheets is constantly at work. So when it works, it means it is a functioning. So when it functions, if I discover how it functions, I can get out of the five sheets. And once we are aware of these five sheets, otherwise, normally I say, no, I have spoken to you. I'm talking to you. I'm present here. No, I'm upset with you. I'm happy with you. I'm unhappy with you. And all these things continues. And we continue to live in ignorance. And that ignorance prevents me to find the real self. At the same time, it causes a lot of suffering because of the causal body. So five sheath, the outermost sheath belongs to the physical body. But when we understand it, it's functioning, then we go a little deeper. And then the three sheaths, the energy, mind, and the intellect sheath belongs to the subtle body, and the fifth one belongs to the causal body. So there we have understood causal body is the cause of all the problems. But here the causal body is also known as the pleasure body, unlimited pleasure. Do you eat pasta? Do you enjoy pasta? Yes, pleasure body. I love you, honey. Why? Because I'm so happy with you, pleasure body. It doesn't mean that you don't say it. I'm not here to create any conflict. Pleasure body. Are you listening to me? Enjoying? Yes, yes. Pleasure body. pleasure body. I was hungry and now I'm full, pleasure body. Because that real self is different from these five sheaths. Look at it, how clear it is. Monkey does not know the taste of a ginger. Remember that. Not for you, but I'm just said this. No, I was just trying to give an example. Larynx, voice box. These voice box in the larynx and the lips cannot speak by itself. It demands energy, and that is the second sheath, is the energy body. Without the desire, I cannot speak. But if I'm not clear what I'm speaking, that comes from the intellect, and I'm enjoying that moment of speaking because you guys are not speaking. So hence, these are the workings from the five sheets. And it happens all the time, 24/7, and we are totally engaged, involved into it, and we see, no, I'm speaking. So these five bodies creates in that I. Find out where is the I. Is any of these five sheath his I? And that is why our master says 12 CRP, I told you, listening, learning, contemplation, reflection, followed by practice. Do you recall UG Krishnamurti, one of the masters with whom I spent only 3 months, day and night, 24/7? I wanted to know what this awakening means and how it manifests. Awakening cannot be known by any other person. Only you will know that you are awakened or not. But at least you see the symptoms, you see the working. He has only 2 pairs of clothes, 1 towel, 2 pairs of undergarments, and a small bag. That is all. He lived with that. He used to visit USA. You can Google out UG Krishnamurti. So everyone undergoes a different change in their life, but the change you will definitely undergo. You will feel little more calmer, peaceful, and now the honey doesn't disturb you because that causal body is not there in relationship with the honey, with the son, with the kids. Anyhow, coming back to the UG Krishnamurti, it was a big surprise for me that he had a half cup rice, a coffee cup, plus 5 or 6 teaspoonful of cream. That was his food for 24 hours. He was such a handsome, most beautiful person. You just Google out UG Krishnamurti and you'll see how handsome he is at the age of 75 or 80 without using any plastic surgery. And we were about 10, 15 people, and we used to eat 3 times in front of him, but my goal was that I have to tease this guy and find out what is the reality. So you see, is saliva coming from your mouth because we are eating the food here in front of you? I'm talking about the 5 sheets. I'm giving a practical, and he laughed. He said the chemistry of the body has changed. the consciousness takes over. It perceives that you are eating, which is different from the food, and which is also different from the taste. It blows your mind. Is that possible? It is possible when we get rid of these 5 sheets. Much later, I understood this point. In those days, I was contemplating, then I went to my master, and then I said, this is what he's saying. He said, he's right. He's right. And the second example that I gave you about the fan, the sound of the fan and the movement. So you recognize these 5 sheets. I recognize here is my room, here is a restroom, and here is a kitchen, and here is a living room. No, I recognize all of them. So after recognition, where this house stands in the space. No, it's a beautiful house. There is nothing beautiful. It is in my 5 sheets. But the most beautiful is that space which equates like a real self. That is the journey. So once you live into that journey, even the causal body contains a lot of impressions. You may become agitated or angry, but you will recognize and realize. And ultimately, the time comes, it will be exhausted completely. You will continue to live with the real self. Means you and the real self are one. So the ignorance is gone. But any point I told you, even in the 5, in your relationship, in your expression, in your thought, in your speech, in your action, in relationship to the 5 sheet, even if there is a small black spot, nothing is going to happen. That is why we say, purify the mind, purify the mind, purify the mind. The last point then we will see. So that is why we say in a language that real self is hidden in the cave or sheath. Last point today. Very important. But you have to follow, I told you, self-inquiry with discernment is the way of the Eastern wisdom. Scientific method of discovery of the material world will not work here. Did you understand? Yes, I understand. Are you clear? Yes. And the causal body comes from the background and it says something and it destroys everything. That level of the purity we need. Anyhow, real self is hidden in the cave. The cave is the cave of intellect. Cave is the 5 interlocking sheath or human personality. Personality is behavior and attitude, thought, speech, and action. What you speak, what motivation you have to speak. That motivation comes by default from the causal body or not? Greek word, you know, the personality is a mask. So we have a 5 mask, not 1. Think of this, understand this, reflect on this, and just work the way I gave you a couple of examples. I gave you a couple of examples how the 5 sheet is working. You are listening, 5 sheet is working. Come on. You're listening to me, 5 sheet is working. You are disagreeing, 5 sheet is working. You agree, 5 sheet is working. You're angry, 5 sheath is working. You're happy, 5 sheath is working. You respect me, 5 sheath is working. You disrespect me, 5 sheath is working. So if the person understand it is the work of the 5 sheath, respect and disrespect, huh? Money and no money, honey or no honey, what is the state of your living? Find out. Don't be so serious. Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Body is steady. Mind is looking inside. Now, do you understand what I say that mind is looking inside?